We all sat around and decided one time to play a Christmas trivia game. Now, the interesting part of this trivia game was that it had nothing to do with Christmas and everything else to do with all of the other holidays. Most of us were stumped most of the time. Now, my team happened to win on a fluke when the question came up, which saint is part of Boxing Day in the United Kingdom? We were given a couple of options, and all I could think about was there's some Christmas carol somewhere that's got a line that says, "On the feast of Stephen." And so when Stephen was one of the options, I said, oh, that's it, that's it. And so our team won, and everyone was, of course, shocked by our knowledge. But for several days, I then walked around wondering why Stephen was a boxer. And I realized then how little I knew about all of these holidays that I wish when I say to people, happy holidays. Now today, because I've researched, I can tell you a great deal about Boxing Day, which is celebrated only in a few countries on December 26th, and it has nothing to do with the sport of boxing. The holiday originated in the United Kingdom during the Middle Ages, and it was the day that the alms box, the collection boxes for the poor that would sit in the churches, were opened up and distributed to the poor of the land. That is why it was called Boxing Day. And that is a tradition that still occurs in some areas. Boxing Day today is a public holiday in the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. And I just read that it's, of course, the biggest shopping day of the year. Now, for pagans, as we watched that video on solstice, December means the holiday of Yule is coming, and the winter solstice for them is an important spiritual holiday that occurs between December 20th, somewhere between December 20th and December 23rd, depending on that moment, that important moment when the North Pole is aimed the furthest away from the sun, thus commemorating the longest day, the longest night of the year, and the shortest day. For us, if you want to know when that moment occurs, in our time zone, that will be at 11:19 p.m. this Saturday night. Regardless of where we live across the continent, the solstice happens, of course, at the same time of year on the planet, and it marks the shortest day, as I said, and the longest night. Ancient cultures viewed that winter solstice as a time of death and rebirth. Scandinavian and Germanic cultures lit fires, candles, and burned Yule logs as a symbolic means of welcoming the light back. Now, because Stonehenge seems to line up with the sunset during winter solstice, look at that, isn't that amazing? That is why thousands of enthusiasts gather there every year to celebrate that occasion. Today, for many cultures around the world, the solstice is the highest spiritual day, full of sacred rituals for them. And that day does mean rebirth, regeneration, reflection, renewal. It's a time to look within ourselves and begin to focus on what we're missing, or what we need to change, what goals we might need to set, what things we need to let go of. And many people, of course, use that looking into candles as self-reflection and a time of regeneration and reclaiming their life, much like many other people do on New Year's Day with resolutions. Now, Hanukkah is an 8-day Jewish celebration that commemorates the rededication of the Second Temple of Jerusalem. There's a little bit of history there. I don't want to go into a lot of detail about it, but it appears that there was a miracle that occurred there involving oil and candles. And what happened is there should have been only enough oil for one night, but the candle burned for 8 nights, and that is why the celebration occurs on an 8-day campaign. Also known as the Festival of Lights, Hanukkah begins this year on December 22nd, which will be next Sunday, and it ends on December 30th. Celebrations, of course, revolve around this lighting of the menorah candle. On each of the 8 nights, an additional candle is lit until all of the candles are are burning. And typically there are blessings that are recited, and traditional Hanukkah foods are eaten, and Hanukkah customs include playing with the dreidel and exchanging gifts. Kwanzaa is celebrated, ironically, even though they acted like there weren't a lot of people that celebrated. 5 million people celebrate Kwanzaa every year. It is a 7-day holiday that celebrates African culture. It begins on the 26th of December and ends on January 1st. And this is a holiday that was actually created in 1966 during the civil rights issues. And the name Kwanzaa, as you heard in the song and as you saw in the movie, the Kwanzaa comes from a phrase that means first fruits in Swahili, thank you. Having a dyslexic moment there. Each family celebrates Kwanzaa in its own way, but always those celebrations involve drumming, storytelling, poetry, and certainly a large traditional feast. The number 7 is a significant number for this holiday. The holiday lasts 7 days. There are 7 symbols. There are 7 candles to be lit, and there are 7 principles to be taught, as we heard it beautifully in that song. So unity, self-determination, collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and faith are the 7 principles that are highlighted and taught, one on each successive night. Often the Kwanzaa gifts are homemade in keeping with the principle of creativity. And often creative gifts are given like books, music, and artwork. In line with the principles taught during the holiday, author Dorothy Riley tells us, we give meaningful gifts to encourage growth, self-determination, achievement, and success. Now in India, the biggest and the most important holiday of the year is called Diwali. It looks like it would be pronounced Diwali, but I learned differently. While this holiday falls a little bit before the rest of the holidays, it's also called a Festival of Lights. And it is a 5-day long experience, predominantly celebrating the victory of good over evil. And it also has a great deal of focus on celebrating relationships within families. Here's the chain of events that happens. On the first day, the Indians clean their homes and they create those intricate patterns that we saw in the video just a moment. It's called Rangali, and they make a pattern on the floor using colored powders or sand. And then the second day is spent preparing or buying special food, as well as praying for the spirits of their ancestors. On the third day, which is the main day of the festival, families gather together and they celebrate by lighting lanterns and candles in their homes and in the streets, and by shooting off fireworks. Now the traditions on the fourth day vary, but a common theme is the bond between husband and wife. So husbands will often buy their wives a beautiful gift. And then on the fifth day, I love this, I find this so interesting. The fifth day focuses on the bond between siblings. And one account that I read was a demand that every brother go to the home of his sister and eat a meal with her. I think that's beautiful. So from December 16th through December 24th, we have another holiday. And this holiday is called Las Posadas. And this is celebrated by Hispanic families in the United States. It's a 9-day celebration that begins with a procession of candles and songs, and sometimes even people play the part of Mary and Joseph, who lead the parade. Every night of Las Posadas is celebrated with gifts and piñatas and songs and parties and tamales and prayers. And Las Posadas actually is a reenactment of the journey of the Holy Family, the seeking of shelter on the evening of the birth of Jesus. And posada is Spanish for accommodation. So there's a traditional ask and response song that takes place where people will move literally, they will make a procession from one house to the other, and they will sing to the house, and they will ask the people in the house, open up the house, can we come in? And they will respond, and they'll say, no, 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 you can't come in, we don't have any room. And so they'll go to the next home, and then they'll sing, and then they'll say, no, 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 we don't have room. And then finally they'll get to a home that someone will then open the doors and say, yes, you can come in, and the celebration will begin. Well, I could go on and on with many, many more holidays, but my time is out. As I have learned about these holidays, though, I was struck by many important common themes. In all of these holidays, including Christmas, we are offered a chance to start all over again. We are offered a chance to experience a rebirth, a fresh start. And there's nothing more cleansing than a fresh start. My favorite moment in childhood play was to say, no, 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 let's start all over again. And you know the beauty of that, starting over, as though it didn't happen. And that is a profound experience in all of these holidays. Another common experience is the presence, of course, of family and friends and as co-celebrants. Family and friends have historic and cultural significance across the nations and across world religions. Note that none of these holidays happen at work. These happen in our homes, with our families, and with our friends. They are driven by family and culture and tradition and food. And I also find it interesting and beautiful that these holidays use candles and firelight and on occasion fireworks to help us understand the power of light over dark, to help us focus on self-reflection and self-improvement, to look within ourselves, to set goals and to strive to become better people. As I reflect on the commonalities, the common themes between these holidays, I'm reminded of a phrase that one of my Ball State University professors in counseling psychology used to say all the time in our diversity class. She used to say, there are greater differences within cultures than between them. I kind of got sick and tired of hearing that, but it is powerful. There are greater differences within us than between us. I love that phrase because it reminds us of our unity across the globe and across our beliefs. We aren't really so different. We are all striving for the same things, you and I, and our neighbors across the globe. We may use different words. We may pray differently. We may have different rituals, different songs, but we are striving for a holiday season in which we can connect to family, in which we can become better, in which we can see the light in each other better. Hopefully now we are all better equipped to accept and to understand what is sacred about that phrase, happy holidays. When we wish someone happy holidays, we are conveying acceptance and welcoming. We are not assuming anything about that person's life. We are acknowledging the multitude of holidays to celebrate during this time of year, including Christmas. And every holiday has its value and its significance and its place in culture. So to each of us, and from now on to every single person I meet, I say happy holidays. Happy all of the holidays. Hamilton Wright Mabie has written, "Blessed is the season which engages the whole world in a conspiracy of love." It is a beautiful time of year, this holiday season. Let's all celebrate it the best way that we can because it will be gone from us far too soon. Now, next week is a special celebration. It will be Music Sunday, and I want you to wear your favorite holiday attire, sweater, or whatever you have. Come prepared to sing along with some well-known carols with the Entry Point Band. Have a great Sunday, and go in peace. Amen. Happy